Hello, everybody. This is Nikki. Thank you for tuning in again. And today, well, first of all, before I start, I want to take off these. Sorry, what am I doing? Take off my glasses. I want to reiterate again that I'm offering a few free coaching classes for 6 weeks. I've already got some that have signed up and they'll be starting soon, and I'm so excited about it. So today, so just reach out to me on Facebook and instant message me, or you can email me at nikkiasherbowlingcoaching@gmail.com. I'll have all the information in the show notes, but please reach out to me if you're struggling with any part of your life and you feel like you need um, some help with that. Everything that I work with you on is things that I have um, are tried and true methods that I use on myself. I still use them today. Like, I mean, just because you figured out the things that help you deal with your anxiety and depression doesn't mean your anxiety and depression goes away. It's manageable. So, and it's come to the point where I've had to make some huge lifestyle choices or changes to ensure that my life is still healthy, um, like it should be. And so I just want to reiterate again. I mean, the things that I talk about on my podcast are things that I do on a regular basis to help support my mental health. So, anyway, I just wanted to get that out there today. Please reach out. If you don't need any help, great. Then, but you do know someone that could use some one on one help. Um, again, reach out to me and we will hook up and get you the information that you need. So, all right, so let's begin with today's topic. So I didn't put anything out last week because of, like I said, there were some things I had to take care of to make sure that I have a good, healthy mental health. But so we've talked out what can you do? What's the one thing that you can do to start your new life? And it could be something small, and you start doing that one small thing each day and you build on that. And so that is the main thing that I'm talking about. So, and then you just build on that. So once you get that one little easy thing down, then you start something else that's new. So one thing that I wanted to do with my life is to make sure that I had um, more Bible reading in my devotion time. So I've implemented that into my 12-week um, challenge that I do every 12 weeks. So, and then I just keep building on that. So that way, by the end of the year, you've completely have done your goals and implemented new structure into your life that's positive. And it's so easy, and the change happens slowly and positively, and you don't even realize it until you go back and you look at the things that you've accomplished. And so it makes managing your life so much better. So today we're talking about self awareness. And let me get my cheat sheet up here. So I believe that growth begins with self awareness. So to help this, There's several methods that I like to use. Now, some of them will go into depth about, some of them are very um, self-explanatory. There are more um, methods that you can use to go along with this, but the ones that I use are my favorite. So, what are some of these self awareness methods that you can use to help yourself? So, the first one is journaling. Y'all have heard me talk about journaling so many times. And um, now, the one thing I have a horrible um, time dealing with is my journaling is like all over the place. So, like, something will come to me, and so I will just pick up a piece of paper and start writing. And or I have a new notebook and I'll write a few days in that. I have an old notebook. I was like, oh, I better finish this. So I'll write a few days in that. So my writings are all over the place. They're not like in data, you take a notebook and it's day one, day two, day three. So that's something I would really like to work on because my OCD brain likes having things in order, but my ADD brain is like, I got to do it right now or I'm going to forget about it. So I don't know if any of y'all deal with that. I deal with it all the time. Um, so I feel like me wanting to be more organized counteracts with the ADD, but my thought process is, well, let's just get it done, right? And and so that's what I try to do is just do it and get it done. So I knew there was something I forgot. There we go. My overlay was missing. See, my ADD brain, but my OCD is like, get it out there no matter what. So anyway, so that's what we're going to talk about today. So my first one is journaling. Um, if you're not someone like when I first started journaling, I'd be like, what the heck am I supposed to write about? So I would like write, yeah, I took the dog out today. I washed dishes. I used the bathroom. That's really not, I mean, yeah, that is journaling, but it's not in depth, you know. And then there were times when I would journal and I would go back and read it. It's horrible writing, but you can see the emotion that was there, especially my immaturity as an adult and not really understanding people and how they work. So, and that does show you how the growth that you can have when working with these methods to help you grow as a person, right? So, of course, journaling, even if it's for 5 minutes a day before you fall asleep or when you first wake up or at lunchtime, you need to do it. It's very important. So, I highly encourage you to do that. So, how does journaling help you with self awareness? So, what is the one thing that you're doing but you don't realize you've done it until after it's already done, and now you're reaping the what you sowed, and it's not a good outcome. So that's where we want to bring in self-awareness, and the first step to any growth at all is being self-aware. You cannot work on a problem if you're not aware of what the problem is. So I when I was younger, I had a horrible issue with lying. Not like flat out lying, but like exaggerating, um, making something sound better than what it is. And now as a middle school and high school person, I'm sure people around me knew that I did this. If you were to tell me that I did this at the time, I would have lied and said, "No, you're lying. Don't you ever say anything like that to me again." My I tried to straighten my hair today, guys, and it's everywhere. So, so that is something that I needed to work on really bad. I was so ashamed of it. But the thing of it was, I didn't realize I was doing it, until after. And then when I started being consciously aware of it, and then afterwards, I was like, "Oh, why am I doing this? Why am I saying these things?" It was just so mindless. It would just come out. And so I had to become self-aware of this nasty habit and make sure. And I didn't know, what I was doing until after I had already done it, and so I had to come up with a plan, um, to break the habit of that cycle, that vicious cycle, right? And so it took a long time. It took a long time, and the thing of it is when someone would ask me a question and I thought it was a bad answer, then that's where I had to be uncomfortable saying the truth to become comfortable, right? So that self-awareness is what got me started on the road, to growth in that area of my life at that time. And I, anybody knows if you have trouble, telling the truth, it's a vicious cycle to end. So it took me a long time to get over that. But once I was honest with myself about that and started working on it and just being truthful, even if I didn't like the answer I had to give, because in that in itself was something else that I would need to work on later. But I wasn't even going to worry about that. My thing was just to be honest in that moment. So, um, it got to the point where I was so honest in everything. Like I was overly well, not there's nothing wrong with being honest, but it got to the point where I was sharing a lot of things that I needed to just keep to myself. But that's a different problem and a different story. So right now we're just talking about becoming aware of something that you need to change. It's bothering the back of your mind, or it's right in your face. You look at it in the mirror every day and you feel like, just a piece of crap because you feel like you have this problem that you cannot, tell the truth about, um, or just something that you just don't want to face. And so that was my one thing. That was probably my very first big thing, like a characteristic flaw that I had that I really wanted to work on, as a young adult. And did I conquer it 1,000%? I think I did. I feel like I did. Um, and the big thing about it is there was a lot of times I would just didn't need to say anything at all, and I just keep my mouth shut. That really helped me with discernment, especially when I was coming into, being an adult woman. And there was a lot of times that you just don't need to say anything. And I felt like I had to say something in every situation or every conversation. And that's where the embellishment or the lying would come into. So, um, that's my big thing that I learned with self-awareness. So, um, so when you become aware of that, Writing down those situations down in your journal is going to help you become more aware. And it is a slow process. Some people take longer to learn, some people are easier to overcome these things. So, when you journal and write these situations down, like after you've done the thing that you're wanting to work on, when that situation starts to happen soon, you may it may pop in your head for a second, and you may still go ahead and do that thing, like, like I would think, "Oh, don't say anything," and then I would still open my mouth and say something that wasn't true. That would, in the future, become more prevalent, and then I would slow down. I would slow down and not say anything or say the God's truth, right? So those are things that where you have to be very mindful of your speech, mindful of your thoughts, and then mindful of who you're speaking to. And you start to slow everything down in that moment. And then that's where the magic starts to happen because you're like, you catch yourself and then you don't, where as you were unaware of it, you start to become aware of it. You're aware of it, and you start practicing not saying the falsehood or saying the truth, and then that's where all that, uh, mindful growth comes into play, and you start actually winning those little rounds with yourself in the boxing ring and stop saying the falsehood or stop saying a lie and you start saying the truth. And even when you say the truth and like nothing dramatic happens, you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad, right? That wasn't so bad. There are other times where I was truthful and got my head ripped off or whatever. But, that was just a learning experience for me that as a young adult that I had to deal with. I was just trying to be an honest person, and I wanted to be. So, like I said, the journaling will help you with that, become aware of the situations. Just like, write down if I'm trying to think of other scenarios. That was my biggest one that I dealt with. And so I would write down, well, I said this, or I lied about that. No one wants to point out their wrongdoings because I was so embarrassed about it. I was such an introverted person that anytime um, I found myself in a situation where I drew unwanted attention to myself, I was so embarrassed about it and I would get mad at myself. Oh my gosh, this okay. Windows update. So I would get mad at myself and I was so embarrassed. I wouldn't tell anybody. I wouldn't tell anybody if I ever messed up, nothing like that, because I did not want anybody thinking about me. I only wanted to think about me in a positive manner. So, okay, so journaling. So there are some practices. When I was researching, they call them mindfulness practices. Um, So there are a bunch more, but these 3 are ones that